Hi everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Good for a Change. We are currently at SeaWorld on the Gold Coast, and as you can probably hear, it's a wonderful day.
It's wonderful. There's sunshine, happiness. Oh, sorry, I'm lying to you. It is the middle of a tropical storm.
There's a little bit of rain. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I feel like I've walked into a shower fully clothed.
I mean, at this point, it's too wet to care, I guess. So, enjoy the episode.
Bye!
Hello and welcome to Good for a Change. This is a podcast where we aim to combat the awful everyday news you hear with stories that will make you smile. I'm Jarrod, and actually with me is Hollie.
Hello, Hollie!
And actually with me is Sean.
Ooh, I'm right here. Hello.
Look, we're in a room together. I can pinch you.
Ow!
I won't pinch Hollie because she's on the other side of the table. But for the first time since the end of season 1, we're in a room together.
Which is crazy. However, not all of us are in the room together.
I don't know what that means.
Well, for the first time on the show, on an episode, we have a special guest coming to us live from New York right now. She has been on Broadway in The Full Monty, The Little Mermaid, The Addams Family, Something Rotten. The list goes on. My favourite title of show.
Is it me?
It's not you. Oh. No, you're right here in the room. She was also in the Disney musical adaptation of the film Freaky Friday, which is on Disney+. It is Heidi Blickenstaff.
It's me!
Hey!
Hi,
I'm going to put in
guys!
some thunderous applause there.
Maybe if we can get the rights to thunderous applause.
Excellent. Hi, Heidi.
Hi, y'all. How are you
so
all
excited.
doing? I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, totally.
It's a whole new world for us.
Oh, well done. That's a nice Disney reference.
I can see. Yeah, I'm always game for that. I love seeing your shining faces all together, Zoom style.
That's the way we do it.
Right now, anyway.
Well, that's it. We've got some good news again, which is good considering the content of this podcast.
That's what we do.
I'm gonna start us off.
Oh, okay.
Please settle in, gang, and let's go back in time to 2015, when the Carlton Tavern in the west of London was forced to shut its doors after over 70 years.
Oh.
The pub had new owners who planned on converting it into a set of about 10 apartments, but they were denied. And then they were told that the pub was going to be given heritage status, so they wouldn't be able to do it anyway. But these people, like Disney villains, just demolished it 2 days before it was going to be given heritage status.
No.
Oh, that is terrible.
It is. Unfortunately for these owners...
This doesn't feel like good news,
we're getting there. We're getting there.
I know. Where's the good? Is the good news coming?
It's like I said, it starts like a Disney film, and then it's all bad, and then the end it's like... Hurrah.
Oh, good.
Right?
Okay.
Settle in, gang. Imagine if that was the end of the story.
And that's the end.
And that's the end. 5 stars. Unfortunately for these owners, a bunch of the locals had enough of the nonsense, cutting it off, and started the Rebuild the Carlton Tavern campaign. The team picketed, door knocked, and made everyone aware of what had actually happened, and eventually had over 5,300 people who were supporting this movement. And the local government thought, we need to intervene.
Nice.
So what this government did was force the owners to rebuild the entire pub brick by brick.
Whoa.
Incredible.
To the exact specifications of the previous building.
Wow.
Wow, that's amazing.
The heritage people had taken molds of tiles, so they had to get whole new tiles made up.
sounds
Hundreds of
expensive.
photos were taken. They had documented everything from the types of woods used to the exact length of door handles.
Wow.
Wow.
The committee managed to find existing parts of the old banisters in rubble and stuff like that. So there's actually old parts of the building in the new building. It took 12 months. The pub's going to reopen next month. The owners have announced that they're selling the pub and aren't coming to the opening ceremony.
Some sour grapes there.
Oh, but isn't that just like you imagine that as a Disney film, don't you?
How
Yeah.
genuinely embarrassing for them.
Oh.
Imagine just standing there, putting bricks up like a 4-year-old.
Oh my gosh. I hope with the new renovations or building it back up again that they made some improvements, maybe. There were some improvements that they could enjoy.
I think they're going to convert the back into a nice dining area and stuff like that. They've
Nice.
leased it out to these guys who have decided they're going to buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are we're going to turn this into a nice eatery at the back. He goes, but we're also going to keep it
we had to
exactly
go
how
at
it was
one
the front because that's
nice.
kind of the point of it now.
Yeah, we
It's
had to
like
go
a
to a
replica
few,
of the old
and
building.
they
And,
were heritage laws in London are just like the really right amount of
challenging.
challenging.
I'll bet.
So to do it, it was 2 days
Yeah, wow.
before that they went, we're just going to demolish it.
Because we used to work at the Savoy Theatre in London, and they have it's an Art Deco theatre, beautiful Art Deco theatre as part of the Savoy Hotel, and it's a very specific look. It's like doing a show inside a tin can, really. It's all like aluminium everywhere.
It's low key ugly, but it's got charm.
But it's still historical.
Exactly. But they have like a wallpaper up in like the top bar, and it's like this really specific wallpaper that is not made anymore. It was like made in the 20s and now it's not made anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like peeling off, but they can't replace it with anything because the heritage listing says that is the wallpaper and the only thing you can replace it with is that wallpaper.
Wow.
So I don't know what happens when that gets to a point where like they can't do anything anymore.
Surely
Well, I think
somebody
what
could
happened-
remake that, look at that wallpaper and not restore it, but like make a new
Reprint
version.
it?
Yeah, like
Yeah, recreate it.
something.
Well, what happened here is that the head of this campaign was like, I'm pretty sure these guys are going to demolish this building. So he contacted the heritage people who were like, we need to push this through. And so they came out and took all these photos because this guy's like, I'm like 90% sure they're going to knock it down. And then they went and did it anyway. So can you imagine them like knocking it down and this guy's sitting there going, just going to write all this stuff down. You're going to have to redo this in 12 months. You see that?
Terrible.
But apparently stuff like this happens quite often. And generally what happens is like they get a bit of a fine
Yeah.
and they move on. But a lot of the time, the fine is less expensive than how much it would be to like redo it in another place or whatever. So they just knock
dodgy.
it down, pay the fine and
Right.
go on their merry way.
Right.
But the campaign people were like, none of that nonsense. We're not having it.
We love this pub.
We love this pub. That's it. Is it even a good pub? I don't know. I'm assuming yes.
Yeah,
I'm going to go.
I'll Google it. Let me check the
Google
TripAdvisor.
Hopefully
Excellent.
they'll have more patronage now that this whole drama has happened.
Well, so I went on, I found this story on Reddit, and it had like thousands of comments. People are going, like, we have to go to this pub. This pub is going to be, like the pub of Reddit. So I feel like when they open next month, it actually opens the day that the lockdown laws end
Great.
in London.
Yeah.
So I reckon it's going to have just a boom of people.
yeah. I've been all over the world, including Australia, Japan, Brazil, everywhere, and I've never been to London.
What? That's surprising.
Isn't that stupid? I know. I've been to so many. We were supposed to do title of show in
Yeah.
London, and then at the last minute that fell through. I hold out hope that someday I will get there. I hope I do, and I'll go to that pub.
Well, on the lines of buildings and buildings being for sale, my building is a house. It's just someone's house, but it's for sale at the moment, and it is for sale in South Lake Tahoe in California.
Hey.
And it's if anyone's looking for property at the moment, Heidi, I don't know, you're on the line here. You're in America.
I'm from California originally. I've spent a lot of time in Lake Tahoe. Lake Tahoe is beautiful.
Well, there we go.
I don't need a house in Lake Tahoe at the moment, but thank you. If I do, I'll let you know.
That's a shame because this is a doozy. It's going for $650,000.
Okay.
It was a 1960s home built in 1962. And from the Zillow listing, which I believe everyone is obsessed with, if I believe Saturday Night Live and the sketch they did the other day about...
Which I do. That's my main news source.
Yeah.
just checking out those Zillow listings. Everyone came across this one and were like, oh, look at this house. This is nice. And for the first 11 photos, you're kind of like, oh, yeah, it's a 1960s house. It doesn't look like it's emerged from the 1960s. It looks pretty stock standard and maybe a bit messy. But then you get to photo 11 and things start getting a bit weird.
Oh.
Because from photo 11 to 21, the photos are full of, or the rooms are full of mannequins wearing elegant 1980s formal gowns.
Amazing.
Of course.
Like
of course.
Laura Ashley and Gunny Sacks. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, they're just like sitting on beds and standing around the kitchen having imaginary chats and
No.
yep.
Oh, why?
There's also a weird room that has like some children mannequins in it as well.
Hate that.
And a weird Virgin Mary statue in the middle of that as well. So it's a
Okay.
weird tableau. It's a choice.
Why not? Why not?
People aren't sure if it's like a deliberate thing to try and not sell the property. Like some people like stage
Trying to
things
creep
to
them
make
out?
it look like
Yeah.
it's not worth buying.
Interesting.
But as far as I can tell, the property is selling as is. That's the term they've used, which, as far as I'm aware, probably means you get the mannequins thrown in.
No, thank you. Absolutely not.
What kind of mannequins are we talking? Are we talking faceless mannequins? Are we talking the ones that like kind of have a face, or are we talking
Like
ones
museum mannequins.
like
creepy
They
museum
are shop mannequins, as in like
okay.
ones you'd find in a department store or in the window of a clothing store. But
Yeah.
they're the ones that do have like the wigs
Gross.
on them
Ugh.
and the faces, and then beautiful, elegant 1980s gowns.
The thing is, as well, why are they wearing 1980s gowns? Like, I could imagine they're like, oh, we'll put them in 60s gowns because
Sell the
this
house,
is
it's
from the
a vibe.
60s. Yeah, it's a vibe. But no, they're like, nah, let's chuck them in like, you know, a denim jacket and. You
Well,
know,
it's more formal than that, Jarrod. What I'll do is
one that Hasta Blossom used to wear.
I know this is a podcast, and I know this happens all the time, and we talk about the fact that we use a lot of visual references in our podcast.
It's the most visual podcast.
So
in the world.
I will send everyone a picture of this house, and you can see it. And I will pop what this picture looks like up on our Instagram as well, which is at Good for a Change podcast.
Oh, no. No.
Oh, I hate it.
Okay.
Oh, I hate it so
What I'm
much.
looking at, these mannequins do have faces, like they are all made up, and they're giving you like cheap Versace, like it's not good. It's totally not good. It's very creepy, and they're all posed.
The hair's very nice.
Absolutely not. Look at the two in the corner. You see the two ghosts in the corner?
They're planning something.
Absolutely not. No, thank you.
There, no, they
Straight to the dumpster.
Why are they? I don't understand the posing. Like, there's one on a chair here. People who can't see the picture, who's like posing kind of sexy, but also like one of her hands is like at a weird angle where she's clearly broken
Doing that
her
like
wrist.
Iron Man.
Yeah, the Iron Man like choo, choo. But like it's kind of broken.
Yeah.
I guess with those mannequins, you don't get a lot of options. I think the hands come as like
Yeah.
that's standard model.
Yeah.
That'd be a
So-
nightmare to put pants on.
What about the one with their leg up on the wall? What's going on here?
And this is one room. This is one room of many rooms that featured the mannequins.
way.
So really quite strange, and it has really rocketed up the view
Zillow
count.
listings.
I'm
So whether
sure.
they intended to scare people off or attract people is debatable. But it's now had over 1,362,000 views
Yep.
on Zillow, and it's only been up for about a month.
Amazing.
So it's really bringing in the fans.
But
All
are
the
there
people that
are there any interested buyers? Is what I'm more curious about.
Oh, Hollie's got her hand up.
Ollie's hands
I
up.
feel like the type of person who wants a house filled with elegant 80s mannequins. I don't want to sell a house to.
That's exactly who I want to sell a house to.
Oh, do we know exactly how many mannequins there are, or are they just like because we can only see about like 7 or 8 in that picture. I feel like there's about 4,000 if you turn around.
Yeah, because
and they're all watching me.
There's
like,
at least 7 or 8 in each picture.
Oh,
Yeah.
Do you know what it
Horrifying.
reminds me of? This is a bit of a leap.
that's what we do.
On Animal Crossing, my
great.
sister, to get her rocks in the right place, put out thousands of mannequins on her island so that no rocks would spawn in those areas. And so I started Animal Crossing and my sister was doing this. And I arrived upon her island to thousands and thousands of mannequins, and it was creepy. It was really creepy.
It was very confusing. I mean, that's a very niche reference. Well, not so niche, but like people would have to
Yeah, if
understand.
you want to move
the,
your rocks to Animal Crossing.
put mannequins everywhere. That's a little cheat for the game.
Great, great. There's nothing if you get nothing out of this podcast, it's tips for Animal Crossing.
It's how I thrive.
That's how we
That's
spent
it.
the last year.
Very helpful.
Why do you think it is that mannequins are so creepy? Is it because of they look a little bit too realistic? Like, I feel like if that was the ones that are like, you know, the ones we have in Target and stuff here that are just like white domes instead
Right.
of heads, I feel like that wouldn't
Right.
creep me out. It's just the weird faces on these ones.
I think it's the uncanny
don't
valley,
know.
isn't it?
It is the
Yeah.
uncanny valley.
It's like it's too close.
I went to a wig shop a few years ago.
No context.
No
Keep
context.
talking. Keep
Why
talking.
not? And it's like a proper professional wig maker.
Yeah.
And so real professional wigs, real realistic looking wigs. But they all were just like the head mannequins, and they all had really realistic faces.
Ooh.
And my brother and I
Nope.
have walked in, and my brother immediately went, "Nah," turned around and left.
Oh, left. So it.
Oh yeah, he was having none of it.
Where did he get his wig from?
was with someone else. They had been there many times. They got their wig, and my brother and I were like, we're going to pop out and we'll meet you here in about 20 minutes. How's that sound? Because it was just... Oh, I don't like them. I don't know why I don't like them. Because it's not like I feel like a mannequin is going to, like, put his hand on me and,
Is that the thing, though? Are we afraid that the mannequin's going to move? Have we watched too many movies where mannequins have moved?
Look, I don't know if any of you watch Doctor Who.
Oh, that episode of Doctor Who.
The Weeping Angels, where if you don't look at them, even if you blink...
It's that one. It's like the second episode of the new Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Well, and then literally all of the mannequins in the world come to life. And
No.
that scarred me as a child, and now that's why I'm like.
You
this
need
as
to
a
watch
person.
Mannequin from the 1980s. We're going to bring it back to the 1980s, starring Kim Cattrall, where she's a mannequin at first, and she turns into a real girl. It's a little bit of a Pinocchio story. Some fine filmmaking. And Kim Cattrall is young and beautiful, so that will turn your mannequin aversion in the opposite way, throwing up in a different direction.
That's what we need.
It's not good. It's not, the movie's not good, but it's not scary.
And that's all you can ask for.
Yeah.
So if you do choose to purchase that house,
Yeah.
I have help with moving.
Oh.
Is this an ad?
Yeah, I am starting a moving company. I'm not. So my story this week is about a not-for-profit company called Move for Hunger. It is a service that collects your food, your non-perishable food, when you move house.
Oh.
So this guy, Adam Lowy, in 2009 was working for his parents' removalist company, and he noticed that a lot of stuff was left behind, but he noticed a really, really high amount of non-perishable foods being left in houses when people moved out.
Huh.
And so he started asking families, like, when you move, can I donate your food for you? And everyone was obviously like, yeah, that's fine, no worries. And so this is how Move for Hunger was born. Basically, now what happens is he has teamed up with 1,000 moving companies in the US and in Canada.
Wow.
And what happens is, if you are with those moving companies, I think there's some like apartment complexes and things like that, and you're moving out, he will send a box and he will send you a letter and he'll say, this is how many people in your area are hungry, this is how many people need food. We recommend that if you've got any non-perishables that you don't want anymore, that you donate them to a food bank.
Wow.
It's great. Really, really great. And this year, obviously, the rate of people who were hungry has risen, and they have really like stepped up and done a lot of like food drives, and I think he's donated something like 20 million pounds of food to food banks at this point.
That is amazing. That's so great.
You know what? I think it's time. I'm going to dub him the hero of the podcast.
Hero of the podcast! Well done, Adam.
We're proud of you.
What a great idea. Because I think back to the amount of times that we've moved, Hollie, which is a lot now. And it is that you get to like the last day and you're like, all those things that you were sort of like, oh, I'll get to it. Yeah, and there's all that stuff and you just go like, oh, and either give it to a friend that's there helping you move out, or, you know, it unfortunately ends up in the bin or something like that. So this is a really good thing to...
And like food waste is a huge issue.
Yeah.
So that's two birds, one stone there.
You know what would be another great idea for him is like whenever, you know, I've done a lot of shows regionally, and when you're done with your time in Washington, D.C. or Houston, Texas, you have amassed a bunch of food, and there's always, you know, actors do a mass exodus, and there should be some, we always try to take our food to the theater and give it away to whoever wants it, but this would be a nice little... You know, theater should get in touch with him, because so many of us go back to New York City and they're like, what am I going to do with this pasta? What am I going to do with this pasta?
I mean,
I'm going to give it to my new friend.
Do you want to? I'll give you my address. Pasta's my favorite food. Just send it my way, Heidi.
You got it.
This is... So I helped a friend move a few years ago, and then like 12 months later I was at their house and I was just going through the thing, you know, what can I have to eat? And there was a box of cereal, and I've looked at the expiry date, and it was like 3 years earlier. Ooh. And I'm like, I've gone, this is 3 years ago. And they're like, oh yeah, it was just in the back, we forgot about it. I'm like, we can't have forgotten about it. This made the move. This cereal has gone from this suburb to this suburb. And they're like, oh, we just didn't pay attention. I'm like, I have to go through now and find. And just like, it was like Narnia. I just went in and I was just like finding old food that they'd had in there. I'm like, how did this make the move? And they're like, I think that person was in charge of the food.
Did you eat it?
Yeah, was it good?
Oh, it was
Did you
stale
eat it?
but delicious.
You hate it. I would never eat that. I would worry like there was some kind of bug infestation.
Sometimes that just adds the extra crunch.
Now,
You get a little extra protein.
Actually, right.
we're from Australia. It's all good.
There you go.
It's all good, mate. Bugs for breakfast.
Right. That's true.
I've seen a lot of videos lately on the internet of people going to like their grandparents' house and playing like grandma cupboard dive, where they'll go into their pantry and you've got to find the oldest item in grandma's pantry.
Oh, I
And-
could find stuff in there from the 70s.
Easily.
I did that in my grandmother's house and found spice bottles literally from like the 50s. She had like old spices that were in these beautiful blue, they were like antiques. I looked on eBay or wherever. I was like, can I get any money for them? And people like actually sell these things for $1 gajillion, but mine were like caked with, you know, like sage and garlic and crap. You know, it was just, you couldn't sell them if I wanted to. But I was like, that's pretty old. That's been in there for, you know, a long time. Like, you know, 50 years. That's bananas. It was a long time.
I hope bananas were in
Bad
there for 50
spices.
years.
That'd be a bad banana.
I will say one thing about this, this last 12 months is I think it's really shined a light on food banks and
Yeah.
how important they are. Because like I didn't know a lot about them beforehand, but then like I watch quite a lot of Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, and he does a lot of like fundraising things where he's just giving money to food banks, and so I sort of looked them up because I didn't know a lot about them, and yeah, I think they're arguably one of the most important sort of charitable things at the moment.
Yeah, certainly right now. Yeah, because so many people are food insecure, and certainly with the pandemic. So it's become such an amazing resource, and they get so much food in, and then it's gone. It goes very, very quickly.
Good on you, Adam.
Good on you. Yeah, well done, Adam.
Yeah.
I think it's really amazing. And, like, they organise a lot of food drives now.
Yeah.
And you can, like, do a food drive, like, in their name.
Yeah.
So he's really, like, passionate about making sure that his community are fed and all the other communities are fed. And I think that's really great.
Speaking of communities being fed,
Yes.
It's not about food, but it is about a community being fed. So today, literally today in the news, I'm in New York City, and our mayor, Bill de Blasio, announced that Broadway will be back in September. And even though, I know, we'll see, right? I think that like that date keeps getting pushed back, but this is the first time we've actually had a date at the end of the tunnel. So I got really, really, really excited about that today because you guys in Australia, things are kind of, they're different there than they are for us here, where we're just kind of waiting. But theater's back where you guys are.
Yeah, we just opened Hamilton in Sydney, so...
So exciting. I have a friend who I did Freaky Friday with, the theatrical version, he's doing it, and I saw his Instagram and I was like, oh my God, Robert's there in Sydney, and Come From Away and Frozen, and it's just like really thrilling to see that theater is back, and you guys are actually teaching us in New York how to do it when our time comes, which apparently is going to be in September. Mm-hmm. And I was so elated today just because, and there have been very few moments of elation over the last year. So this was particularly good news. Also got my first dose of the vaccine a couple of days ago. So it really feels like, the engine is revving.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how exactly it's all going to work. Bill de Blasio had a little bit of a plan, but it's happening, you guys. We will be back. We'll be back.
That's excellent.
It's so exciting. We went to Shrek, which was sort of the first big one that opened up here in Brisbane.
Yeah.
And it's one of Hollie's favourite shows.
Yes.
And that feeling of being in a big theatre, because we'd seen some smaller scale theatre since things had reopened up here. And we've been very lucky here in Brisbane because things have been very under control here since about May last year. There's
Yeah.
been a few blips, but it's been like we've had internal borders that have been in place to make sure that like there wasn't a lot of spread, so things are very safe up here.
Yeah.
So we've been able to do these things for a little bit of time now, and progressively more and more in higher capacity and those kind of things. But we went to Shrek, and it was one of the first big ones we saw in one of the big theaters, and it was
It's
a
genuinely
big crowd.
a bit terrifying.
Yeah. For a moment, when you walked in, you're like, "There's so many people, and they're all
Yeah.
sitting
I
next
was
to me."
just sat next
Yeah.
to a person. I was like,
Yeah.
this is weird.
Well, yeah, you guys, obviously in Brisbane it's been different. I've been in Melbourne the last 12 months, and we had, literally only when I got here, a bunch of the lockdown, not lockdown stuff, but a lot of the mask laws and everything have been relaxed.
It is exciting. Things are progressing. I feel similarly to you, Holly. Like when the day finally comes, when we get back in a theater, I feel like we're going to be like, so happy to be back at work. And I'm sure we're all going to cry. But I'm a little bit like, how is this going to work? How are people going to want to be shoulder to shoulder? Because particularly in New York theaters, those seats are tiny. Those Broadway houses they just pack them in, literally. And that's going to be something else. And I think that was another one of de Blasio's things, is that they're going to make little changes here and there. They're going to stagger start times to shows. Like one show will start at 7:30, one will start at 8, one will start at 8:30, so that people aren't going to be on the street at the same time at intermission and before and after the show. And they may, shows may not be back, like we may not have 2 show days at first, just so that they have time to clean the theaters. I think that's what they're doing with Frozen in Sydney right now. So, everybody's figuring it out, and temperature taking, and like they're I think this is a weird one, but they're going to try to figure out if they can ask people to prove whether or not they've been vaccinated, which I know is a slippery slope, and or prove a negative test result. So, it's a whole new world, but
It is.
you can't keep live theater down.
No.
We got to come back.
Bad for those shows that have now had to close. Like,
Yeah.
obviously a lot of them closed down
Yeah.
for things, but something like Frozen, Mean Girls, stuff like that were literally just went, oh, we're probably going to close for a week due to all this. And then now the shows
Yeah.
are like, oh, we're not coming back.
Yeah.
At all. And I feel
Yeah.
bad, especially something like Mean Girls. They had a brand new cast start a week before the lockdown. And it's like, can you imagine going, oh my god,
Frozen
it's my
too.
big break, I'm going to do it, and then a week later, you're done.
Yeah, it was a
It's
weird time.
yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
awful, but no, it's great that it's coming back, and hopefully these people might, find themselves somewhere else
New
instead.
jobs.
Yeah, it is. It's very interesting because a lot of my colleagues who, particularly like dancers in Broadway shows, when you do 8 shows a week and you're dancing in a dance heavy show, you are in like Olympic shape. You are in the shape of your life, and it's like running a marathon 8 times a week. It's so strenuous, and all of these people have like been on their couch for a year, or just not doing a Broadway show, because that's totally different, even if you're going to the gym and whatever. But as these shows are talking about remounting, the players are like, I'm a little bit heavier than I was when we shut down, and is someone gonna buy my Peloton or like my Nutrisystem diet situation? Like, people are trying to figure out how they're gonna get back in Broadway shape. But I'm sure those shows are gonna have to have a rehearsal period, and there are probably gonna be some people that aren't going to come back because they don't want to do it anymore, or they're pregnant, or their lives have changed, and so
The world's changed.
yeah, it'll be very interesting seeing what the musical chairs of casting is going to be like.
So do you have a show then? First show that you want to see, back open, doors open, you can get a ticket. If you were getting comped in, you could just walk in, any show, what would it be?
Oh, there's so many. I know that I'm going to lose my mind whenever I sit down in a theater. I don't know. Put me anywhere. I've only ever seen Hamilton once, and I think that, not to be like everybody else, I think that's going to. Hamilton's not hurting. They don't need my ticket money. They don't need my. Oh, you know what would be a great one to see? Come From Away.
Yeah.
Because that is such. It's not the exact same story, but it's a story about hope and redemption and community, and and coming through something on the other side. And I'm sure that's going to be a good time when this is all over.
Come From Away was probably the last big musical we saw before things shut down, and that was in Melbourne last year for my birthday. And tomorrow night we're going to the Brisbane opening of it, and I'm quite sure it will just be very emotional because it's emotional anyway.
I'm sure it will. My friend Kilty Reedy is in that, and he's just been like posting all kinds of, for those of us that have just been sitting on our hands for a year, desperate to jump back in, a handful of us are in Australia doing shows. And so they're just like, guys, let her to home, just like letting us know everything that's going on. And we're like, tell us everything. What does it smell like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? What are people like? What did you cry a lot? Because everybody's just so desperate to, see it through their eyes. But tell Kilty hi if you see him.
Will do.
This week's episode is sponsored by Virtual Game Night.
Virtual Game Night is spicing up your Zoom parties by bringing you live game shows into your own home, so you and your friends can play no matter where they are in the world.
Game nights can last 30, 60 or 90 minutes and include lots of different games, so there's something for everyone.
Not only is playing a virtual game night like being part of your own game show, it's even hosted by an actual comedian, Hollie Robinson.
And Ollie takes control of everything, so you can sit back and relax with your friends.
Yeah, there's no need to spend all those hours on Google trying to find answers for your own questions. He's got it all covered for you. So if you want to turn your next virtual gathering into a virtual game night, visit virtualgamenight.live/good and book your completely free one-to-one demo and consultation. And when you're ready to book, take 20% off the price of any game night package with code GOOD20. Join over 8,000 other players who have livened up their Zoom calls by making your next virtual event a virtual game night at virtualgamenight.live/good and enter code GOOD20 to take 20% off of the price of any game night package. Oh, Jarrod, I would like to know what is good in your life right now.
What is good in my life, Sean, is this.
Ow!
That I can pinch you, and I'm not going to pinch Hollie again. But we're in a room together.
We are.
And we've barely seen each other in, I'd say, 12 months. Like, we spent a little bit of time here and there together, but very little. But now I'm up here on holiday with you guys. We're having fun. We're, running around Brisbane and the Gold Coast, and we've just had a lovely few days on the Gold Coast doing theme parks. And it's so nice to be on a roller coaster.
That's fun.
I haven't been on a roller coaster since 2017, and that's too long to not go on a roller coaster. So I was really, especially Movie World. People who, listen to this podcast, you'll have heard before the theme song, we were at SeaWorld during what can only be described as a tropical storm.
It was genuinely bucketing it down in the least metaphorical version of that statement.
It was to a point where we walked out into the rain, and within
deluge
30 seconds we were as wet as we were going to be for the day.
It took my jeans 3 days to dry. It was bad.
It was torrential, but it wasn't cold.
Terrible.
Which is nice. We were going on this giant roller coaster in torrential tropical rain, which was great fun.
The best part of that roller coaster was the sign on the front that said it was
like a splash ride.
It's a splash ride roller coaster, and it said on it, "You will get wet, you might get soaked." And we stood at the entry as the guy was saying, "You can't bring your backpacks on." Absolutely saturated.
It's absolutely saturated.
We're I think we'll be fine.
My shoes were like mini ponds. I think there was a whole ecosystem just in the shoe. It was all bad.
Penguins jumping up the top.
Little raisin toes.
The joy of the tropics.
But it's great. SeaWorld, Movie World, obviously all these roller coasters, which I love, and new ones where I'd forgotten what it's like to be on a roller coaster that high up.
Do you have any certain kind of roller coasters where you're like, I'm not doing that one?
I don't like,
or is you do them all?
I don't like a a Tower of Terror. I don't know if that's a roller coaster per se, but that's right.
Sure.
I don't like I'm just going to drop you and, I don't mind a roller coaster where you sort of come out of your seat a little bit or go upside down. That's all fine.
Mad Mouse is a bad time.
I don't like a Mad Mouse.
It's just that neck action.
Yeah. We went on the Scooby-Doo ride, and I think I heard Hollie's neck break about 3 times.
Yeah, I don't need to go to the chiropractor anymore, though, so...
We straightened you right out.
And then yesterday we were at Wet n Wild, which is a water park. It was a beautiful summer's day, so it was the perfect day for it.
Yeah, really transitioned from flooding rains
From
to
flooding rains to beautiful
sunny heat.
sunshine. And I got to go on a bunch of water slides. So I've done my ride quota for 2021.
Great.
Well, you can take another 3 years off.
I can take another 3 years off. I'll see you all in 2024.
Great. I'm down. You've performed at Disney parks as well, haven't you, Heidi?
I have. We didn't get to do it this last year because of COVID, but the 2 years prior to that, Disney on Broadway has a little series that they do at Festival of the Arts at Epcot Center. And it's one of the greatest gigs of my entire life because, you get to pretend like you're a Disney Broadway rock star and then you get to enjoy the parks for the 3 weeks that you're there, and they take such great care of you, and it's just like the greatest gig ever. And so I'm crossing my fingers that Gavin Lee and I, who have been paired up the 2 years prior, that they ask us back come January. You hear me, Epcot? You hear me, Festival of the Arts? Gavin Lee and I would enjoy coming back.
I'll send this to Bob Iger, and hopefully he pays attention.
Yeah, we're pretty close.
Yeah, me and Bob are friends.
You know us.
Yeah.
What's your favorite ride?
Oh, well, I have to say, I am the first time I rode that Avatar ride. What's it called? Flight of
Pandora.
Something like
Passage of...
Passage of Pandora.
Passage
We've
of
almost
Flight?
got it. Between the four of us, we're going to get it by the end of this.
Let's just call it Star Tours.
The first time I rode that, I cried. It was so beautiful. I just thought it was like nothing you hear people saying. It was like nothing I've ever experienced before. But it was truly like nothing I had ever experienced before. And it was utterly... Have you guys ridden that ride?
No.
You're like, I don't know the name of it because you can't remember the name of it. It's the main Avatar ride. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. It is... You're on the back of a banshee, which is one of the dragons dragony things from Avatar. And you're just like, chilling on a dragon flying thing. And they go... you go through like... all the areas of Avatar, or Pandora rather. Flight of Passage.
Flight of Passage.
Well done.
Told you, it just
Made
came
it.
to me. Anyway, it is absolutely amazing. It's very immersive. You get smells and splashes and you're sitting on this thing that sort of looks like a motorcycle, but then it turns into your banshee and it breathes on, sorry, this sounds nasty, but like it breathes in between your legs like you're riding a horse, like a real, and the whole time I was like, I'm really on the back of a banshee. I mean, it tricked me so beautifully and I had the greatest time. And sometimes it makes people a little motion sick, and it did make me a little motion sick, but that never stopped me. And one of the great things when you do that Epcot job is that you get, they are so lovely to you, and we got lots of passes for guests. And so I think the first year I did the Epcot gig, I think I rode that ride like 18 times, and it never got boring. And the second year too, I was like, I'm going to beat my record. So I can't wait to get back to my banshees.
But Shawnee,
Yes.
what is good in your life?
Well, I had a wonderful experience in my stomach this week.
Oh,
I'm very concerned.
keep
It was
going.
we all went out for dinner the other night, and when we were going out for dinner, we were a bit hangry. We were trying to find something to eat. It was probably getting a bit late in the evening, and we were getting a bit desperate. In Surfers Paradise, which is the sort of big tourist town of the Gold Coast here, and as such the eateries aren't necessarily the kind of quality establishments that provide wonderful quality food, but we were desperate and we were like, we're just going to go out and we're going to find something. And we walked past a bunch of restaurants and we couldn't really decide, and then finally we found a place and they were saying it's Taco Tuesday. Cheap tacos. And we said, let's do it, let's go in and get these cheap tacos. And they were so good.
Wow.
They were so good. It was such a surprise. We thought it was going to go down a bad way, but they were really fantastic.
Oh my god, some of the best food I've ever eaten.
Oh.
We had like this Tex-Mex chicken taco, and I don't know what it was seasoned with or what mayonnaise they were using.
Genuinely incredible.
I almost cried when I put the taco in my mouth.
Because it looked really dodgy.
Yeah.
From the outside, we were like, this is a bold
Yeah.
choice, but it's this or
It could have
nothing.
gone either way.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And we walked in and they were like, oh, we are closing the kitchen in 5 minutes. And we were like, Ooh.
And that's always a risky move.
Yeah.
That's never a good sign.
Nah, but oh my god,
But it
they
went
were
your way.
they were amazing. I had prawn and chorizo. Oh, I might go back down just for that.
Yeah.
Just for lunch, pop down to the Gold Coast. Take me 2 hours, but it's fine. And then I had now Heidi. I'm assuming. I mean, I feel like they're sort of an American staple, but I've never had them before. Jalapeno poppers.
Oh, yeah. I'm familiar with them. It's not my jam, but I am familiar with a jalapeno popper.
So it's not really a thing here, and I've seen so many places in America mention them that I was like, I'm gonna have a jalapeno popper, thinking they were gonna be like, tiny, maybe size of a small coin.
Yeah.
They came
Tater
out
tot size is what I...
Tater tot, yeah.
I
tater
was
tot size. I was
imagining
expecting
a
maybe
tater tot.
tater tot size. I
Okay.
feel like when I've seen them on TV, they've been tater tot size.
Yeah.
They came out the size of a...
An apple.
Oh, yeah. And there were 3 of them.
Okay.
So I managed to get 2 down, but the third I'm like, I can't do it.
Was
I
it
can't do
good?
it.
Did it taste good?
Oh, wonderful. Lovely.
Oh,
But I
good.
couldn't get the third one down. I think I just would have been like... I would have turned into a jalapeno popper.
Popper was an exaggeration. Like, you couldn't
Yeah.
pop them. You had to, like, cut
No.
with a knife. They were too
Oh, yeah.
big.
Yeah, they were too
Obviously,
deep.
they used
But, oh, God, they were good.
legit ingredients. It wasn't some kind of process thing. They went to town and handmade them. But what a find.
Love that.
To stumble upon something
good.
when you feel like you're going to get angry, and instead have a glorious food experience is always a treat.
Well, I have something good that happened to me today and has been happening. I mean, as everybody knows, everyone in New York City, those of us that are in showbiz, we've been basically all sitting on our hands for the last year. And I am lucky enough to be friends with the great Tom Kitt, who is a composer. And Tom, along with his partner Brian Yorkie, won a Pulitzer for Next to Normal, but they also, can't believe our good luck, but they also wrote Freaky Friday, and that's how I got to be so close with Tom. And so this last year, I've been, staring at the walls, wondering how I'm ever going to be of use again. And my friend Tom called me and asked if I would sing a song on his upcoming album. And I was like, no. Yes, of course. Absolutely. I would love to do that. So it happened at a time, it just happened like, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, something like that. And we actually were all in the studio. We were all kind of quarantined off in our own areas, and nobody touched, and everyone wore masks unless they couldn't. I didn't to sing, of course, and that would be funny if the whole album was filmed with masks on. It's new. It's just go with it. But all the musicians were there, and I got to record this beautiful song on what is going to be, I'm sure, a beautiful album of Tom's, and that was incredibly moving to actually be with people and artists in the same room together making something. It was like very, very meaningful and moving. But today Tom sent me the rough cut of it, and I got to hear it. I am not going to be sharing it with you right now because he'll eliminate my song from the album. I'm sure it's not mixed yet, but I got to hear it, and I think a lot of singer actors, whenever you hear yourself or see yourself, you're like, that's what I sound like, that's what I look like, I quit. Like, you're just like, that's the worst thing I ever could have possibly imagined. I'm far worse than I ever had a nightmare about. But this actually sounded good. And I was like, I mean, the song is stunning, the song is so beautiful. But hearing myself back, I, normally you have to twist my arm for me to listen to myself. Everybody's kind of like that, right? You're like,
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
me? Okay.
Do you guys even listen to the show? No.
I absolutely
I didn't
don't.
know that we were even making a show. I thought we were just having fun.
Well, this was not vomitous. This was actually, I was proud, and I was like, oh my God, right. This is what I do. I was reminded, oh, right. I can sing a little bit. And so that was very joyful today, listening to the fruits of an artistic labor with my brilliant friend. And so that was something super good. I hope I get to record a lot more stuff in the future. Okay, Hollie, what's good in your life? Tell us.
So I have been Zoom calling a lot of people recently. And one of my key Zoom call buddies at the moment is my friend Ruby. And it's a really exciting time because Ruby is having a baby in 2 weeks.
Oh, that's exciting.
And I'm so pumped for her. I'm so excited. And we sent her some like baby bits the other day. And by baby bits, I do mean just Bluey merchandise. And then I was like, you should watch Bluey, which is a children's television program from Australia.
Nice.
And you should watch Bluey, Heidi.
You should. It is genuinely excellent.
Okay.
I don't mean to push this too
Will
hard,
do.
but I will.
It's just the 4th episode that Hollie's done this, but anyway.
I just love Bluey so much. But I'm just really excited, and it's such like a good time, and I'm really pumped for her.
We weren't sure how long the international mail was going to take for our gift to arrive either, because there's very few flights coming in and out of Australia right now. So
Yeah.
they pre-warned us. They were like, oh, it probably won't get here for a long time.
Yeah, so we bought like 1-year-old clothing.
By the time it gets to you,
Yeah, we were
We're
like,
like,
let's
oh,
age up the
no.
clothing.
It might not arrive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll fit. Which was bold, but she like pulled it out. It was like this big. I was like,
exactly.
maybe
This is
I
for when
hate
they're 18.
We need to be prepared into the future.
I'm so jealous because one of my dearest friends, Matthew Scott, and his sweet wife, Kirsten, they just had a baby Desi, and none of us can go over there and kiss on that baby. And, we'll have to wait until everybody's through the whole vaccine protocol. But it's like, that's been really hard. So many people have gotten pregnant during the pandemic, which was a fantastic way to spend their time. But now all these babies are being born, and I can't kiss on them. Not yet.
Well,
but soon.
my sister had a baby in January, and
See?
for a long time it was really concerning that we weren't going to get to sort of spend any time with him.
Yeah.
And then luckily, like even the hospital were like, you can't have any visitors in. My mum wasn't going to be allowed in with her, anything like that. And then they changed it. I think only a week before she had my nephew, they changed it all, and they were like,
Go for gold.
You're fine, go for gold, enjoy yourselves.
That's great.
But she had to be like really specific about who could come to the hospital and stuff like that. I was lucky; I made the list.
Made the cut.
Made the cut. Yeah, I can't imagine what it's like for you guys who just want to smush your little baby and can't.
No,
But don't smush babies. I feel like that needs to be.
not literally smush the baby.
Yeah,
but
don't smush the
certainly
baby.
Smell
a lot-
that baby. Babies.
There's a lot of videos on the internet at the moment of like lockdown babies, and it'll be a baby who's never met another human and so is holding a milk jug like it's its best friend.
Or like looking up at a person when it finally gets to meet someone like, who are you? I don't understand.
Mirror
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah, totally. It's going to be quite an adjustment. I have another friend who now has, he's a toddler now. He's approaching 2, and he's really only ever known inside. And, every now and then they'll take him to a park. But, it's going to be a huge adjustment. He's very great at, playing with his toys inside, but, he hasn't played with other babies. And, all these kids are going to have to be re-socialized so that they can function in society.
Honestly, same.
I know. For all of us, right? I'm not ready for a dinner party. How is that going to work?
I don't like people anymore.
I like inside.
And of course, that music means that we're done. I like the way I say that every podcast when people know that the music means we're done.
Maybe they don't.
Maybe they don't. It's like a Pavlov's dog thing at this point. Like they hear the music, they go, end. But of course, the ending means that we need to talk about something very important. And what's that, Hollie?
Near and dear to my heart.
What is it?
It is, one sec, let me get it out.
No, not Foley.
Yep, great.
Oh, it's the policy document.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Not to see it in person again. It's been a while.
Yeah, I do keep it in this ring binder.
Yeah.
It's the only thing in the ring binder,
Yeah.
but it is important to keep it accessible. The document here does say Good for a Change is a 5-star podcast. Only 5 stars will be accepted. It is against the law to
And again,
not...
we do need to point out it's world law.
It
we
is
we
world
went to the
law.
UN. It's a whole thing.
Yeah,
Right.
it's been signed, but I've got about, I would say, 97 signatures from world leaders on this thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Very
Yeah.
important.
Thank you.
It's lofty.
Yeah, it's an
5
important
stars are
document.
bust.
And before we started, Heidi was talking about the fact that, I know you wanted to give it 4 stars, but you had the people come knock on your door and say no, only 5 stars.
Yeah.
And
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I always want people to keep trying, never stop trying. And so I thought a 4.5 would be good for you guys, but then people came to tell me that was illegal and it had to be 5.
So people think
So
we're joking.
I said 5.
But Heidi, you can back us up. It's
I
all-
can attest this is not a joke.
It's not a joke. It's not a
I'll
joke.
show you the document.
I can see the document. It's been signed by a notary. It's very official. It's in calligraphy. And it looks like it's from ye olde times.
Exactly.
Yes.
I did tea stain it for fun.
Oh, yes. Good.
Well,
Yes.
now that we've told
Tuesday.
people that, they're going to have some form of secret force knock on their door if they haven't given us 5 stars, they're also more than welcome to subscribe to the podcast on all their favourite subscription places. You can also join us on Facebook. We have a group where we share good news with each other, with people from all over the world. It's growing every week, so come join us there if you'd like a little regular dose of good news. You'll find us by searching Good for a Change on Facebook, and we're the group with the banana in the logo.
Love that.
And if you would like to see any of the many images that we've discussed today, you can follow us on our Instagram, which is @GoodForAChangePodcast.
And if you've got any good news, you're more than welcome to send it to us at our email address, which is goodforachangepodcast@gmail.com. We might even talk about it on the show.
Fantastic. And I'm also teaching everybody in this time where Broadway performers aren't being Broadway performers. So many of us are teaching, and you can go to my website, HeidiBlickenstaff.com/coaching. And I do coaching, I do master classes, I do meet and greets, I do all kinds of stuff. And I'd love to see you there, and we can talk about what's good.
That's great. Well, thank you very much, Heidi.
My pleasure. This was totally lovely, you guys. It's so good to see your beautiful faces.
Thank you very much, Hollie.
Thank you, Jarrod.
Thank you very much, Sean.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Jarrod. You're welcome.
Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.